Assalamu alaikum. At first, I would like to thank our honorable and respected teacher Milan Vishwas sir for giving us the opportunity to present ourselves in front of you and all of you who are present here today. Today, I am going to talk about banking sanction using blockchain. This project is guided by Firoz Mida sir and the project is supervised by Milan Vishwas sir. My name is Prince Mahmoud Ridai and my fellow group members are Mohammad Mainul Islam, Mohammad Rabbi, Mohammad Hasibul Islam and Mohammad Yasmin Akhtar. These are the contents I am going to discuss today. I will try to elaborate each section in detail throughout this presentation. Our proposed application is a blockchain-based loan processing system for banking application. Objectives. The objectives of our projects are included ensuring the authenticity, transparency, reliability and safety of a loan processing system, developing a tamper-proof medium to secure all the information of a loan process, and protecting the user data by making a protected communication method within the network. Why blockchain? Blockchain technology is a decentralized ledger system that records immutable data. Some of the blockchain features include decentralization, transparency, immutability, clearness, and monitoring capabilities. Transactions are more protected and proof of interference. That's why transactions are more reliable and tamper-proof while using blockchains. These characteristics are more suitable for a banking application than other traditional methods. Advantages of blockchain. Blockchain carries various benefits. Among them, the most important advantages are blockchain significantly changes how our critical information is viewed by creating a record that cannot be altered and is encrypted end to end and prevent fraud and unauthorized activity. Privacy issue can also be addressed on blockchain by anonymizing personal data and using permission to prevent access. Information is stored across a network of computers rather than in a single server, making it difficult for hackers to view the data. Because blockchain uses a distributed ledger, transaction and data are recorded identically in multiple locations, and network participants with permission can access the same information at the same time, providing full transparency. All recorded transactions are immutable and time-stamped. This enables members to view the entire history of a transaction and virtually eliminates any opportunity of a fraud. Blockchain stores data in a block with the information of the previous block, hence the name blockchain. This makes a traceable part to the whole blockchain network. Traceability of data can expose weakness in the blockchain network and avoid miscarriage of the information. Blockchain versus traditional network. These are the differences between blockchain-based system and traditional systems. Blockchain systems are tamper resistant, where traditional system does not have any tamper resistance. Because blockchain data are decentralized, this provides more security over traditional centralized systems. Data verification is more accurate in blockchain-based system than other traditional systems. The lending process takes less time in blockchain-based system, where traditional system takes lengthy time to process a loan. Existing systems. These are the most common technology that uses a currency lending systems. The first one is SALT and the second one is Veeam. They are both blockchain based systems. Why Hyperlaser Fabric? Hyperlaser Fabric is a platform for distributed ledger solution underpinned by a modular architecture delivering high degrees of confidentiality, resiliency, flexibility and scalability. There are several reasons for choosing Hyperlaser Fabric. The most valuable features are privacy, shared ledger, smart contract, and consensus. Hyperlaser Fabric is known for its private blockchain implementation. Using Hyperlaser Fabric, we can create a permission blockchain where only the authorized entities can join the network and view contents of the network. There are also other encryption methods to keep the identity of each member of the network private from others. Hyperledger Fabric has a shared ledger system where each node have two distinct but related parts of a ledger called world state and blockchain. The world state is a database that holds current value of a set of ledger state in key value format, whereas the blockchain records all the changes that have happened in the current world state. In Hyperledger Fabric, smart contracts are called chain code. Chain code is a software defining an asset or assets, and the transaction instructions for modifying the assets. In other words, chain code is the business logic of the blockchain. Chain code functions executes against the ledger current state database and are initiated through the transaction proposal. Consensus is achieved ultimately when the order and results of a block's transactions have made the explicit policy criteria checks. These checks and balances take place during the life cycle of a transaction and include the usage of endorsement policy to decide which specific members must endorse a certain transaction class, as well as system chain codes to ensure that these policies are enforced and upheld. In other words, consensus is a process of validating transaction via multi-party confirmation. Proposed model. This is the diagram of our proposed model. This model shows the data flow from requesting a loan to store the data in blockchain. From start to finish, there are several entities that do their specific job of validation and writing the blockchain. When a client makes a loan request, the loan is submitted to the fellow organization. The organization has multiple nodes or entities. Each node has their own different job to do. There is a node called orderer node. It receives the loan request and submits them to the peer node. The peer node then validates the request. If the validation is successful, all the peers first send the confirmation to the orderer and then invoke the loan data into their local world state ledger. The orderer then writes the data in the blockchain ledger. That's how each node in the network has the identical ledger stored in their local machine. Algorithm. Our application is built on a Hyperledger Fabric framework. It is a framework for building a consortium blockchain. Hyperledger Fabric contains many built-in functions. For our application, we are using practical Byzantine fault tolerance algorithm for consensus. It is a voting-based consensus algorithm that will be responsible for invoking data in our blockchain. We are also using CryptoGen and Fabric Certificate Authority for generating crypto materials and encrypt node identities. Apart from that, we will be creating smart contracts or chain code for our application transaction logics. Create loan. This is the chain code algorithm for creating a loan. It briefly describes the structure of the loan data. We will see the actual code for creating loan later in this presentation. Pay loan. This is the chain code algorithm for paying the loan. Implementation. Our implementation starts with setting up the environment for the blockchain network development. After we set up our environment, we will proceed to node design. Then we will design the chain code, and finally we will create our blockchain network. Environment setup. In order to set the development environment, First, we need to download some prerequisites and install them in our local machine. There are several software that needs to be installed in our local machine before running a Hyperlaser Fabric framework. Some of the most important ones are Docker and Docker Compose, Node.js, Golang, curl, Git, and Python. In our local machine, we will create network nodes and peers using Docker and Docker Compose. Each network node represents a single device. Docker helps us to create a virtual image without any VMS or virtual machines. Our chain code is written in JavaScript, that's why we need Node.js installed. The rest is also needed to install Fabric in our computer. After installing all the prerequisites, we need to install a Hyperlaser Fabric framework. The framework contains all the necessary binaries for running the Fabric in our local machine. Node design. The structure of the blockchain organization and authorized nodes are written in config tx.yaml file under the network folder. Here is an example of how the order pair is designed. The order pair needs a name and ID for recognition. Then there's given the path of membership service provider for the order pair. Each pair has a unique membership service provider and certificate authority that are used to identify or verify them in the network. In real life, the membership service provider and the certificate authority are stored in their own machine, but for our local machine, all the organization MSP is stored in the organization folder. The policies defines the access mode for the peer. This is an example of the node design of the peer organization. The structure is similar to the orderer peer. Chain code. Chain code defines the business logic of the blockchain network. Chain code is used to make transaction logic and invoke changes to the blockchain ledger. There are multiple chain code methods created for our application. This is a chain code method for creating a loan. The first attribute it receives is the CTX. It is the transaction context from Fabric Contract API. The transaction context has necessary function to access the ledger. The rest of the attributes are the input values. First, the loan exists. The loan exists function checks if any loan for the given value already exists in the wall state ledger. After that, an object is created with the given value. Then, using the transaction context, put state function is called with the loan data. Put state function has the ability to write data in the wall state ledger. Similarly, the payload chain code is written. Important thing to note that when a chain code function is written, we have to pass the data in JSON format. Otherwise, the query errors will be shown. Blockchain network. If previous steps are done properly, we can now create the blockchain network. The network creation is done in a few steps. First, we need to create a few organizations for the network. Each organization is counted as a peer for the network. Then we need to create blockchain compose file. This file is responsible for configuring the Docker image of each organization. After that, we can create Docker images for each peer or organization. We will dive into details in the next section where we will show the working directory. Deploying the network. After creating the network, we need to deploy the chain code in the network. In order to do that, first we have to create a channel. A channel prevents access to the network for the other entities outside the network. In other words, a channel keeps the ledger private from others. After the channel is created, all the participants join the channel. One cannot access the ledger without joining the channel. After that, we have to deploy the chain code in the network. When deploying the chain code, each peer invokes the copy of the chain code in their own machine. If the chain code is successfully deployed, we then have to set our environment variable as an organization to interact with the network. This works as a login for the blockchain network. After that, we can initialize the network and interact with the ledger. This is the screenshot of creating a network. This is the screenshot of all the fabric peer and ledger. This is the screenshot after creating the channel. As you can see, after creating the channel, all the available peer join the channel in order to transact in the network. This is the command for creating deploying the chain code in the network. After deploying the chain code in the network, each pair in the network approves the chain code. Then we need to configure, export the config file in order to access the Hyperlaser Fabric binaries, and we also need to provide the organizational MSPs and CS certificate in order to interact with the network as organization 1. This is the commands for invoking data in the blockchain network. So this is the chain code for initializing the network, initializing the ledger. Here is the command for creating data. Here is the command for reading loan in the network. Sustainability. A sustainable financial system is one that takes due account of environmental, social, and government consideration when making decisions. In the financial sector, leading to increased longer term investment into sustainable economy activity and projects. Our project purpose is to create a loan sanction system using blockchain in order to improve security and reliability of lending money to the customer. This reduces the risk of wire fraud. Thus, the bank will achieve financial sustainability in the long run. Also, there is the factor of environmental sustainability. The system will use consortium blockchain, which is known for its low consumption of power, unlike other public blockchain technology. There are no useless mining in the consortium blockchain. This saves us lot of energy, which is sustainable for both economy and the environment. Impact on society. The project can improve transparency, efficiency, trust, and security, as well as reduce the cost of financial firms and banks in terms of processing loan sanction. It can greatly improve the process of requesting a loan for the borrower, and also the processing of the loan will be much faster and accurate. There will be no single entity in the system. This will rule out the possibility of any kind of deception. The transaction will be more transparent and easily accessible by the network participants. Blockchain is still a relatively new technology. There are more work to be done in the blockchain technology. We are trying to make the use of blockchain to process loan sanction for banking sector. This can provide banks to make transactions safely and store users' data more securely. This presentation discussed the general process of bank loan sanction using blockchain technology. More work to be done to make this system more reliable and easily accessible. The system takes advantage of immutability from the blockchain technology and also maintains the anonymity of users by keeping their identity hidden from the public. Thank you everyone for participating in the presentation. The next section will discuss the working of the application.